This is Chris, and you're watching One Cross Video, and this is, I'll say, a special short. It's been one I've been, wrestling with doing, because I wanted to find the right way to do it. It's been there, but I don't want to do it in the bad way, so I'll be straightforward. If the title doesn't let you know what we're talking about, this bonus episode, we are looking at some at aspects of the protests that have been going on in Ontario and Canada, and the draining, frustrating experience it's been for all of us, for people in support of them and opposed to them. And I will say now, if you are in support of the protests, I have no ill will or lost love toward you. I don't look at the negative aspects of the act and actions of some of the protesters and the history of the organizers and immediately associate that with you. I don't do that at all. But I will be addressing the, frankly, real and negative aspects of the protest and why I feel they're that way. So if that's something that you will find upsetting, I just want to be straightforward with you that is coming. And I also do want to be fair to the protesters as well, because it's way too easy, and it's been something that the media has been doing, and I'll say weirdly both sides of the media has been doing, and it's awful that the media is now at this point where there's division lines across the board, where it's, if you're for the protesters, you're right, and if you're against the protesters, then you're sheep, or you're ignorant, or you're vile, or you're wrong. And the same thing for the other side, where it's like, if you're against the protests, you're amazing, and if you're for the protests, you're ignorant and vile and wrong. And I mean, you could argue that's true for both groups, for some peoples within both groups, but not the majority. And that's kind of what I want to look at today. Now, I have a number of friends who are in both camps, but a number of those who are in support of the protests don't necessarily see the anti-side, the against the protests, and knowing them, I do know them, and I know that they've looked things up. It's not coming from a willful place of ignorance, and I do think a huge part of this division is, quite frankly, social media. Because heck, I can use an example. I've got two very close friends, both wonderful people. They're tight with each other. One you could say is anti-protest, the other is pro-protest, and both through social media only see one side. The one who's pro-protest legit sees the factual, evidential, and legit happening peaceful protests. Because make no mistake, those still are happening. Those are still happening. From videos that you can firsthand see, you could even argue, by and large, the majority of protests there are not the ones committing hate crimes. They're not the ones causing physical, mental duress, and we'll get there in a second. Because there are peaceful protesters there. But the only thing they're seeing through TikTok, through YouTube, through Twitter, because of algorithms, because social media is designed to cater to us and what we'd like, or on the flip side, if you rage click things, then it's going to send you a lot of stuff that will just make you angry. Algorithms are a finicky, stupid thing. But because of that, people on the pro-protest side are only seeing stuff that shows the peaceful aspects. And the stuff that seeps through is the stuff that's shooting down, like highlighting the negative stuff, and they're like, nope, this is media misinformation, which, homies, I'm sorry to break it to you, it's not. Now, some media absolutely does twist it and hyperfocus on it. We can't sugarcoat that. We're not gonna lie. But there is enough evidence from outside of the mainstream media that we are evidently supposed to ignore, which I get, but I also don't agree with, and I'll get there. There is enough firsthand evidence, firsthand experiences from so many people in Ottawa and outside of it that shows that no, this isn't just isolated things. It is more widespread than any of us would like. Now, does that mean the entirety of the protesters are that? Of course not. And I do wish that mainstream sources would address those more. Just as I wish certain sources that try to cite only the peaceful side and mischaracterize the other side, i.e. your rebel news, which I'm holding on a rant there. That might be a topic for a different time. Actually, no, it's not. Rebel news is hardly news. It is incredibly biased media. When you look at unbiased sources or biased rankers or stuff that actually doesn't have much of a lean, they consistently show that sources like Rebel Media or Rebel News, like Campus Reform, and then also Fox and things like that, and they do this with the left as well. That's why I trust these media bias checkers, because they don't hesitate to show, like, hey, this person has a left lean, this person has a right lean, this person is far right, like, or just straight right, and on I go. But Rebel has been statistically and categorically proven through various studies to show where it's like, hey, we're going to go with the most clickbaity, outrage-inducing headlines to grab your attention. And when we try to link outside, guess what? It's only within our own pool of our own approved sources. So I don't consider them a reliable source of anything. Mini rant aside. And then on the other side, you do have people who are only seeing the negative things, and then then that's the picture that's being painted for them, that every person at the protest is causing hate crimes, desecrating war monuments, and various other things, and that's also not true. Now, don't get it twisted. That is happening. It has happened. It's sadly continuing to happen. And that's kind of why I want to do this video. I've seen so many... Part of it is I'm seeing so much where it's like, well, we got to ignore what the media is saying. This is the truth. And that's frankly not true. I get it that you're wanting to share the peaceful aspect. I encourage that. I encourage everybody who is continually frustrated, depressed, and just everything that we're feeling as more of this stuff seeps out from what's going on. I do encourage you to question the media, to question what you're seeing, because as you look, you'll see, like, hey, the truth is often somewhere in the middle. And I'd say in this case, it is, because there is ample evidence of a number of people who are there just to peacefully protest. They're not the ones doing the nonstop honking, which, guess what? As much as people try to write that off, that's not something you write off. Here, I'm gonna read a quote, and it's from it's citing a report from the World Health Organization. So, constant exposure to high levels of noise is well known to have deleterious effects both on mental and physical health. 2018 report from the WHO says it is among the top environmental risks to health. Lots is known about health risks of noise, including cardiovascular disease, cognitive impairment, sleep disturbance, and mental health impacts. Yeah, that stuff is happening. We can't deny it. And it's easy to just say, like, oh, well, it's just a little honking. No, it's not. It's constant. It's nonstop. It is nonstop until there was a court injunction. And that's, again, not to say that's all the protesters, but it is happening, and that can't be denied. That just simply can't be denied. When people are saying, like, we can't trust the media, then honestly, what truth are you saying? Like, what truth are you saying is happening? I encourage you, I implore you even, share the good experiences as well, because those are clearly happening. And I will happily agree with you that the media is not recognizing those parts as well. But at the same point, that's the case with every protest. And this is where I do take a little bit of umbrage, or probably more. But when I see people hyper-focusing on this part and they're saying, well, we can't trust the media because they're only reporting the negative stuff, I challenge you that the next time there is a Black Lives Matter protest, that you take the same attitude. I implore you to do so. Remember these words that you said and apply that same argument the next time. Because guess what? Black Lives Matter protests, based on a study in 2020 and an article from Time magazine, shows that 93% of those protests have been peaceful. And they haven't gotten to the levels of hate crimes or friggin' national emergencies twice. Now, you could argue that those are over-exaggerations, but you can also track this happening and you can see the escalation. Now, I think there's a lot of blame to be placed for Ottawa police because they didn't start doing things early enough and it got too late to control. But still, and that's not to say there hasn't been violence at Black Lives Protest Matters, because there have been. That is also proven to be true. But for people who pull out the constant comparisons, who will say, like, no, this is peaceful, it's not like the BLM protests, that's not true. The majority of BLM protests have been peaceful, and it seems to be in this camp, or let me rephrase that, seems to be from groups of people within this camp, that they are now being like, well, no, we're being peaceful, not like them. Can't you say the media was hyper-focused on the negative aspects of those two and easily ignored the overwhelming majority of the peaceful aspects of those protests that have absolutely been proven? I'm just saying. And that's not to have a go at anyone. And you can tell I'm a little bit frustrated. We all are. And my heart does go out to you because we are all frustrated. It's been 2 long years of this. And we want to be done, but we keep getting thrown curveballs and we're all tired. But the reason I'm doing this video is to share, like, there are reasons that people are showing that these aren't peaceful. And I challenge you, if you're saying the entirety of the protest is peaceful, I'm going to lovingly say, I think you're wrong. Now, there are a huge amount of people within the protest that are being peaceful. But when a ongoing protest has numerous arrest charges, a legal injunction due to noise, and it can cause statistically proven harm, and we've got other people coming from different countries trying to interfere, which, yes, that's happened. An actual thing that's been proven is a lot of the funds going towards the protesters, they're not coming from Canada, they're coming from down in the States, interfering a bit. And we've got people showing up using this as an avenue, but it still happens. It's still linked. You've got people doing conspiracy to murder. There's been conspiracy to overthrow the government. There's been hate crimes. There's been desecration. I am not saying at all that this is the majority of the protesters, but I don't think you can actually say that all of this is peaceful when all of that is happening within it. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you're also frustrated like I am, please look for the peaceful things, because they do exist. That actually gives me a bit of hope. That actually does. It is nice to see. There is some very, very wonderful, peaceful protesters from across the board, from across nations, creeds, backgrounds, whatever you want to say. There are people there who aren't doing these horrible things. On the flip side, please don't ignore that those horrible things are happening. They absolutely are happening. And it's dangerous to ignore it. And it's not truthful to say and absolutely deny that they are not happening. I don't like that they're happening. I'm sure if you're in support of the protests, you don't like that they're happening, but acknowledge them and distance from them. But don't say don't trust the media. Because also a lot of the sources with people who say that, they're sharing stuff that you can't trust at all. So, all that being said, challenge the media. Challenge what you're being exposed to. Look in deeper, but look for good resources. I hope this made sense. I hope this is helpful. Hope you have a wonderful day. God bless, my friends. Peace.